Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Football Diehards NFL show here. I am Armando Marsal. With me, as always, is Bobby Gomes. How's it going, my brother?
Going well. Ready to jump into this divisional round DFS slate.
Yeah, much funner slate than last week's. We mentioned that it was going to be a better week this week because much better offenses, many decisions to make. Last week is more of a defensive, I guess you can say, type of slate. Whereas this week it looks like it's going to be a high scoring week here from a DFS standpoint. Any particular game you're looking forward to? Well, you're a Patriots fan, so I'm sure that's the one you're looking forward to watch. But any other game here you're looking forward to watch this weekend, man?
All the games. I gave up my fandom a while ago. So
yeah, it's good because we can actually watch every single game because it's there's no two games going on at the same time. So it's I appreciate these times for that reason because I get to sit down and enjoy each and every game to the fullest here. All right, let's jump right into this, man. The first game on the board is the highest scoring or projected scoring game here with a 56.5 over under, and that is the Colts heading to Kansas City, taking on the Chiefs. 30.75 implied team total for Kansas City. 25.75 implied team total here for the Colts. From an injury standpoint, it looks like Spencer Ware is going to test out his hamstring before the game, but right now it does not look like he's going to play. At least it's not expected to play. That would really help out here. Damian Williams on the receiver here. Watkins is expected to play. He's been dealing with a foot injury. He hasn't played since week 11. So he's expected back here for the Chiefs. So something to look forward to here. And then from a weather standpoint, you and I were talking before the show, and like I mentioned, it looks like it might snow here. There's some chance of snow. It's very cold. So kind of that might play a role here. I don't think it's going to impact too much because it's not supposed to be like very heavy snow. It looks like it's going to be like flurries. But I don't know how much of an impact that'll have. I'm still going to approach this game as I was earlier in the week. I'm not going to let that, that snow make any, changes to my decisions here. Are you going to be making changes because of that snow, or are you just going to continue to approach this game as you were before?
No, I think it's definitely interesting in terms of like Damian Williams, and maybe might affect my exposure to TY just because with his home and road splits being so drastic, especially outside of that dome. Yeah, my Spencer Ware's big injury news. I also want to see if Eric Berry plays because if Eric Berry plays, then you have an issue where, like the targets may be funneled to a guy like TY. Whereas if he doesn't, and it's snowing, it kind of can get me off TY, and I can use more Ebron, who I like if Berry sits.
Okay, and then I mean, for me, I'm still very bullish on Andrew Luck. I think one of my favorite plays on the, from the quarterback's perspective here. One of my favorite plays on the board. This is a really good matchup for him. I think a good game environment. Snow or not, I think he's going to be able to sling. Or I think he's going to have to sling it. This is an offense that attempted the third most passes per game here. So they're a pass first team. I do think he's gonna, throw the ball here a ton, and it's just a really good matchup. A really good matchup. We know the Chiefs struggled through the air here against opposing quarterbacks, so I think Andrew Luck is in a good position to have a big game this weekend. I'm with you. I mean, to me, T.Y. Hilton's one of the best, receiving options this weekend. There's just so much upside. He has a really good matchup here against Charvarius Ward. Grades out below average on Pro Football Focus, a 23% advantage rating here for T.Y. Hilton. And we just know, his involvement in this offense and Luck has a ton of trust in him, and they have very, very good connection. So I think Hilton's a very strong play. And when you look at his price, I mean, to me, it seems reasonable. It's 6,700. I think that's fair. I really do think that's fair here. So I like him. That's a stack I really like rolling out this week. I think whether Barry plays or not, I really think Ebron is still a good option. Listen, this Chiefs defense struggled pretty much all year long against tight ends. They gave up, 87 receptions, which is most over yards. and 10 touchdowns to the position here. The 10 receiving touchdowns, second highest in the league here, and then the third highest receiving yards. So they struggled all season long here against tight ends. We know how Eric Ebron is involved in this offense. So,
without Barry.
Yeah. But still, I mean, his involvement and his usage is through the roof.
With Barry.
Yeah, I mean, but really, how many other options do they have here? And then do you really expect Barry on Ebron here? I mean, is that what you're expecting?
I think, yeah. I was at I think he's definitely going to see a lot of Ebron if he plays.
I have here that it looks like he's going to see Daniel Sorensen.
I think he sees a lot. It just within coverages, like he'll eventually see some Ebron, especially if Ebron starts eating someone up. So, and the second that happens, I'm not really. I don't know. I'd just be nervous to play Barry. I mean, play Ebron if Barry plays.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it looks like I think eventually we'll see some. I just don't think it's going to be so much where where it's going to impact him. And even if bad matchup, Ebron has
sit.
Huh?
If he sits, I love Ebron.
Yeah, I mean, we should have more of that information. I think heading into lock here, I'm kind of pulling it up to see what they think, but he didn't practice. It looks like he's doubtful. They're planning on checking his status before the game, like in the pregame warm-ups, and see if he's good to go.
He might have been doubtful, but I don't know. You never know. So,
yeah, so definitely something to keep an eye on, before the game. But whether Barry plays or not, I still think Ebron's in play. Obviously, you gotta like him much more with Barry off the field. So, talk to me about Inman, man. We talked about him last week. He panned out. He's cheap again. Are you planning on rolling some Dontrell Inman here?
Yeah, that was a sharp call on Inman last week. I think you could definitely use him if you're multi-entering. I think there's a lot of receiver, but there's a ton of value on the slate. So, I don't know if he's a priority, but if Barry were to play, like I said, I would like to get more Inman. If he doesn't play, he's just a guy that I'm going to have. I'll probably have low exposure to him. Like we said, he's doubtful, so he's probably not going to play, so I'll probably have more Inman. Talking in terms of I just think there's a ton of receiver value, so I'm not as high on him as you got me on him last week. I was happy about that, but I'm not as high on him as I was last week going into the game. I still think he's a good player.
And I agree. I think he's a good player. There is a lot of value this week, and I was going to ask you something on that, because does that make you want to maybe balance out your lineups? Because I feel like a lot of people are going to be jamming in Gurley and Zeke Elliott because you can do it because of the value at receiver. Are you going to go with the field because I think everyone's going to have very similar lineup construction because of that. Are you going to try to do something different in tournaments where you might go a little bit more balanced? Guys like Edelman, Hilton, they're in that mid 6K, Amari Cooper, maybe going like that. You could still fit in one of the top running backs by going in that direction. And there's a very, very good value running back that I think you and I both love this week, and I think we're going to be very, very highly exposed to. So you can definitely do that. So I just kind of wanted to get an idea of what you had in mind, because I do agree. I think a lot of people are going to go with Gurley, Zeke, and then go down to someone like Inman. There's Josh Reynolds, there's Ted Ginn. There's a couple guys that we could, that you could make a discussion for.
Guys, like Josh Reynolds and Ted Ginn. I don't think Josh Reynolds is as great a play as everyone thinks this week. I get why people like him. And I think this is more of a tournament slate, and I'd rather just pivot off that in tournaments because there's so much receiver value, especially in that Pats-Chargers game. And Inman's another guy that you kind of throw in that pool of guys that kind of like to pivot off if I was multi-entering in terms of Josh Reynolds. Basically, so the way I kind of would look at it is I think prior to Damian Williams kind of becoming a must-play in cash games with Spencer Ware sitting, I think that's just happened within the last hour when we got that news. I think a lot of people, the cash game build was Mahomes and Kelsey. But I think that now that that's a situation, because it's a negative correlation, people are going to get off Mahomes. So I think people are going to go down at quarterback, play Williams, play one of Zeke or Gurley, and then maybe like a Kamara is how I kind of see it. Yeah, that's how I kind of see cash going right now. I don't think people are going to play both running backs in cash, although you could do it and it makes a ton of sense to do it. I mean, both of them are probably going to touch the ball like between handoffs and in the passing game. Well, Gurley at least 28 to 30 times, I would say. And then I think Zeke is around like that same like in cash, like playing both of them isn't the wrong way to go. I just think a lot of people are going to pivot to Damian Williams now that he's at that price tag and going to see the volume that he should see. Yeah, that's pretty much kind of what I'm thinking. I would pivot off him in tournaments, but in cash, I think that I think a lot of people are going to go to Williams. So, what you were saying in terms of like game theory, can you get what was your?
I was just because I feel like because the value has opened up, or not opened up, because I think there's value at receiver position. I think that there's going to be a lot of people trying to jam in both of these, top running backs into their lineup. So I so far, like on my higher dollar tournaments, I'm pretty much going with a very balanced lineup, kind of the way I'm going. And I don't know if that's going to be like the popular way to approach this slate, because I do think that there's going to be a lot of people trying to fit in Gurley and Zeke because it's very easy to do. I mean, I did it, but it's very easy to do.
No, I get you. I think, yeah. So I get it. Like,
yeah. We're sorry, guys. We went off the handle. We're just talking strategy and game theory here. We'll get back to this game right now. Well, I mentioned my love here for the Colts. Talk to me on the Chiefs side. I'm actually very happy that this whole Damian Williams situation, Ware has not been officially ruled out, guys. So make sure we're clear on that. It just looks like he's not expected to play. That's what it's trending like right now. So it's something to keep an eye on. I truthfully hope he doesn't play because that's going to make Williams very chalky, and it's going to pretty much make everyone who was considering James White just move off of James White. And I'm going to have all the James White, and when he goes bonkers, I'm going to be very, very excited.
I like the James White ton.
My God. Yeah, I mean, I'm ecstatic to play this guy. Talk to me about the Chiefs. We're gonna get to that game soon. Talk to me about the Chiefs here, Bobby. Where you're at, who you like. How you obviously Mahomes is chalk.
Damian and cash. Mahomes was like the cash game play, but I feel like now people are gonna move to Dame. People are gonna move to Dame, and then kind of get off Mahomes in cash games, which it was Mahomes, Kelsey. I feel like was the structure of the build. Kelsey's definitely like all formats. Kelsey, don't overthink it. Cash games, it's Kelsey. I think Damian Williams is there as well right now for cash. So those are pretty much the guys. And then in tournaments, this is something we really need to touch on. So if I have to decide between just game theory, Michael Thomas is at 7,900. You have Zeke and Gurley. I think one's at 8K and one's at 82. If you're fading one, this is the play because it's not my, out of the one receiver that I think I would be using in tournaments, I would definitely prioritize that can match Zeke and Gurley is Tyreek. So in this situation where the Colts D may funnel, I think Tyreek is a really, really good play. And I know it's snowing and maybe people will be afraid of rostering him because of the deep ball, but he's the one guy who can make up all of those. With the spread being what it is in that Eagles-Saints game, Tyreek at 74 or 7,300 is the one guy who has the capability to match Zeke and Gurley if you decide to fade outside of Kamara. So he's someone that I'm really interested in. And I think the Colts are going to funnel a little today. So I think in tournaments Zeke should be prioritized if you do decide to get off one of these high-end running backs.
Yeah, I like that Colin Hill, man. I'm looking at ownership projections here, and he's expected to be 31 to 40% owned. but so is Michael Thomas, who you're talking about maybe moving off of here. I don't know, man. I think this is a really good spot for Hill. He has obviously that slate breaking upside. We've seen it numerous times this season. For me, Kelsey's someone I would be prioritizing in cash. I really do think he should be prioritizing cash because he's just so consistent, such a good matchup here. It's arguably the best matchup for any tight end this weekend. So to me, Kelsey should be prioritizing cash despite the high price tag. So I like him a ton. You mentioned this being a tournament slate, so I'm going to definitely be playing more tournaments. So my exposure to Kelsey would probably be lower than most because I'm going to be playing more tournament lineups, and I'm paying down at tight end in tournaments. I really, like someone that's pretty cheap and it allows me to do a lot with my lineup. So, but I don't have a problem playing Kelsey in any format, really. I think he's just a really, really strong play, especially like if everyone's going to be focusing on playing Damian Williams or whatnot. If you think that his ownership might come down a little bit because of that, more reason to like Kelsey here in tournaments. We mentioned Watkins more than likely going to play. I'm not going to take that chance. He is cheap. This is a good game environment. He does have upside, of course, but I just don't know if I'm willing to take that chance, man. He hasn't played since week 11. I really don't know, how effective he's going to be. If he's 100%. Like, there's just so many factors here that play into my decision, and I just like a lot of other receivers in that price range this weekend, man. So I don't think for me is worth taking that chance. Are you going to be rolling the dice with someone like Watkins, or are you going to pretty much take the same stance as me here?
No, I'm with you, but his home road splits like during the season are drastic, and
yeah, I agree with that. All right, I think we broke this one down pretty good. I know you mentioned that the Colts defense, early in the week when we spoke on the podcast, that that might be something that you might consider because they're so cheap, not because you think they're going to shut down the Chiefs, but they're just so cheap. We know about that. So
I also like what I saw. I think Dan Orlovsky was doing a video, and I think Evan Silva tweeted out, and it was just basically breaking down how the Colts are showing Deshaun Watson man and then dropping back in his zone. And like, it's just like a different, like, if they're going to show Mahomes different looks, like, which I would imagine that they are because they did it to Deshaun. Mahomes is a young quarterback, like, pre-snap read, like Andy Reid's telling Mahomes where to go with this ball. Like, I feel like he's very much so like McVay. But if they're going to switch things up on him, like, it could be interesting early to see how he reads the looks that they give him. So, I like the Colts at 2,100. I think they're fine, just point per dollar. Like, I don't think that they're going to, you know what I mean? But, like, at that price, like, it's tough in multi-entry not to have at least some exposure.
Yeah. All right, sharp money. I think we're both this. Yeah, I'm seeing sharp money on the Colts. I really am. I mean, that they opened at 6-point dogs. They're at 5-point dogs, and 60% of the bets against the spread are with Indy here. So that is worth noting. I think we broke this one down pretty good, man. If anyone has any questions or there's any doubts, feel free to ask. But I think we went pretty deep into this game here. The next game, Bobby, it's one I'm having trouble kind of like gauging what to expect, and that's Dallas heading to LA, taking on the Rams. This game has a 48.5 over-under. It's gone down half a point since it opened. Rams have an implied team total of 28 points, while the Cowboys have a 20.5 implied team total. Man, I'm really having trouble gauging how I expect this game to go because the Rams – they played some really good football early on. They kind of like struggled a little bit, and then they played good football towards the end of the season again. And they're much better offensively at home. We know Jared Goff had played better at home this season, so that's something worth noting. But then Dallas's defense, man, they've been strong. They've been really strong. I know this is a road game for them. So this is one I'm having like honest trouble, gauging what to expect. I think it's going to be closer than what Vegas is suggesting. I don't think the Rams should be 7.5-point favorites here. I think, maybe a 4-point spread or 5-point spread would be more reasonable considering how well Dallas has played. So give me your thoughts on this game and how you're going to attack it from DFS standpoint.
Yeah, so Gurley and Elliott are pretty much goes in all formats, depending on how you feel on both. Right now, I'm not sure if which one I'm gonna be underweight on tournaments. Kind of leaning Gurley. That could change, like you said. They've played really well at home. Goff's home road splits are really good. Yeah, and the Dak side, I like Dak and Cooper a ton. I think that's a really good stack, especially they're going to see a lot of man. Cooper burned Marcus Peters last year. Like the only game he had last season was in Oakland versus the Chiefs. He absolutely annihilated Marcus Peters, and he does well versus man coverage, just like Dak. So I think a lot of people are going to go to a guy like Cooper. I think he's cash game viable. I don't know if I'm going to go there, but he's definitely in consideration. Yeah, and in terms of like other options, like I've heard Michael Gallup's name a ton. Like I just don't think, like for me, like it's a tournament play, and there's better options. Like I don't know how many people are going to play him. Like, and it's the same thing with Reynolds. Like I don't love Reynolds. I don't think this Rams offense has been what it was since Cooper Kupp went down. I know Reynolds gets a ton of red zone looks. This Dallas secondary is legit though. They're going to come out strong. I like Dallas's defense in this game at 2,200, similar to the Colts. Like the situation's pretty similar, and they'll probably be a little bit lower owned than the Colts will, just because they're just of like they're going into LA versus McVay. Like you know what I mean? Everyone's thinking like McVay will draw something up to where like the Rams will be fine. I feel like a lot of people have that mindset. But this Dallas defense has been legit. So at 2,200, like they should be able to make that. They should be able to get pressure and kind of make Goff make mistakes to where they can make value. I feel like. Not saying the Rams can't like hit their implied team total, but I just think they can play all right. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I don't have a ton in this game outside of that. Like I don't know about you.
Well, I'm with you. I'm with you on the data side, man. To me, Dak Prescott and Cooper are one of my favorite stacking options this week. I think Dak's going to go completely overlooked because there are so many options this week. Like, and his projection right now, as far as ownership, is 5 to 8%. So I'm definitely going to be rolling out Dak and be overweight on him in tournaments this weekend, just because I think the game environment is going to be suitable for him. He's capable to run the ball. And we talked about this on Thursday night, where from a rushing standpoint, the Rams were pretty, generous to quarterbacks and whatnot at times. So I think he's going to be able to get it done with his legs as well through the air. You mentioned, that the man coverage. We talked about that last week, how he and Cooper can definitely take advantage of that. So I like them. Obviously, the decision is, if you're only going to pay up for one, whether it's Zeke or Gurley, I'm kind of on the same page with you, man. I think I'm going to go with Zeke over Gurley. I don't think either of them is a wrong choice. To me, it's just a preference of I rather go with someone that I know is healthy. Where, Gurley, they're saying he's healthy, he's ready, he's going to give it a go, of course, but I don't know, man. Just. To me, he's not 100%, and there's just, something was going on there. So I'm not 100% confident if I'm paying up that much in him because of that, only because of that, really. And Dallas's defense is good, man. I mean, I respect this defense a ton, and I'm with you. Look, Dallas is 7th in time of possession. If they could keep this offense off the field, like and run the ball with Zeke, I think that's all that correlates. So playing their defense makes a ton of sense. They're not gonna, shut out this Rams offense, but if they keep them off the field, they can limit damage.
That's a sharp call. Time of possession. If the offense isn't on the field, they can't score. So yeah, I like that call.
Yeah. So, and then on the other side, man, look, I know you're not too excited about Josh Reynolds. I like him if I'm going in a cheap, at a cheap route here at receiver. I don't mind him. I think he's done a pretty good job. I'm seeing that Robert Woods, and I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on him. It looks like he's going to be among one of the most popular wide receivers on the board. He looks like it's going to, 31 to 40%, which is right up there with Hill and Michael Thomas. I guess it's because he's expected to get Anthony Brown, which is probably the best matchup that any other for any other Rams receivers.
No, Woods is in play. Yeah, I get you. I'm
not on there. I'm asking you because I'm not on there. I might be something
that you talked about.
Yeah. The guy I do want to mention here before we move on to this next game, man, the Rams player I'm most invested in is Gerald Everett. It's super cheap at tight end, obviously a very volatile play. But when you look at towards the end of the season, in 3 of his last 4 games with at least 6 targets to close out the season. So definitely, a little bit more involved. Ever since Kupp really got injured, he became a little bit more involved in the offense. Very, very inconsistent, but a very cheap price tag, tons of upside. And if you're going to attack this defense, the best way to do it is with a tight end. So I'm going to be, rolling the dice with Everett in some tournament lineups this weekend, man. Any thoughts on him?
No, I think that's a good call at his price point. There's a ton of tight end value, so I get it. I get it. It's fine. I'm not against it.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously the ownership is not going to be on him. So, but yeah, man, I'm kind of with you. I'm not too excited about this Rams offense for some reason. And again, I just respect this Dallas defense a little bit, man.
That can burn a lot of people, like McVay.
I agree.
McVay.
I agree.
They can burn a lot of people. That's why they're going to. It's a tough situation. Like they're coming basically halfway across country. They're going to see. Yeah, McVay can draw something up that most offensive coordinators can't. So we seen last year in Minnesota, they went up to Minnesota and he just absolutely everyone's like, I can't play the Rams in this situation, and he Gurley went for 35 and just started out. It was bad. So if you run Goff, you're gonna have. If you run a Ram stack, you're gonna be. It works out, you're going to be in a good spot.
I think running a Ram stack in the $20 that big tournament on DraftKings, I think that's fine. I think that's fine because they offer so much upside. Like you mentioned, McVay is a mastermind when it comes to offensive scheme, man. So you could do it. I will have exposure to this offense. It's not like I'm not going to have exposure to this offense because I will have some shares of Gurley. I mentioned my interest in Everett, and I do have interest in Reynolds. I just think that someone like Brandon Cooks or Robert Woods can definitely have a big game in this spot, and I think
no Brandon Cooks. Not that he can't.
Byron Jones.
Can't have that happen because I won't have any Brandon Cooks.
No, yeah, that me either, man. I have 0 Brandon Cooks right now. I have 0 Brandon Cooks, and that's scary.
Unless he's has 5 steps on the guy, or he's drawing a pass interference, he won't catch anything in traffic or if someone's on him, good luck to you. You know what I mean? He has to beat someone by he doesn't go up and fight for balls. I want none of that. But it's a possibility. It could happen. So
yeah. All right, ready to move on to this next game, Bobby, and it's the Chargers heading to New England to take on your Patriots. And this game, Bobby, has a 47 over/under. It's gone down half a point since it opened. 25.5 implied team total for New England. 21.5 implied team total for Los Angeles here, and that is the Chargers. Give me your thoughts on this one, man.
Yeah, a lot of value in this game. This is the game where it's going to set tournaments apart. I feel with the value that you have at wide receiver on both sides, this is the perfect game to this is one of the best tournament slates I've seen, just in terms of the value that you have here at the wide receiver position. You have to pick Benjamin, Tyrell Williams, Mike Williams. One of these guys is going to get deep on this Patriot secondary. You just have to pick one. And on the other side, in the Pats receiving core, you have Dorsett, you have Hogan. You have Patterson. These guys are all going to be in play as well in terms of a value standpoint if you want to go that route. And then the core guys, just talking about the Pat side, if you're trying to fade one of Gurley or Zeke, we've paid $7K for a guy like James White in this spot. And now you're getting him at 4,900. So, and his market share with Edelman in these situations, like, is ridiculous. So, like, if I was fading one of these two guys, which I probably am, I'm probably going to give a good hard look at both Edelman and James White just for that floor in tournaments, because I think it makes for a good, very, very good way to kind of get up to, like, cut into those 30 touches that these running backs are going to see, the higher end guys especially. And I don't mind Michelle at all. It's freezing here. So, like, if you're thinking about what Belichick's going to do, he's going to want to take the air out of the ball. They're going to try to establish the run early, keep Rivers off the field. This kind of thought process won me $1 million one time. So I was just like, yeah. So pretty much, like, I think Michelle at 4,700, like, all he needs. I know that was a shameless plug, but I know
hey, listen, I don't plug away, bro.
I just think all he needs is a touchdown and 100, and we're in business. Like, I don't mind rolling two Patriots running backs. People are going to look to Burkhead. Like, you gave the numbers versus the San Diego Chargers D versus.
I was going to give them again.
Yeah, you can give those again because that's some good info. Yeah, those are some really good numbers.
I remember your thought process for playing. And I always forget the running back's name, man. The one that won you $1 million. What was his name? Forget his name. But either way, what was it?
You went out.
No, I said I remember your thought process when of why you played the running back. I forgot his name. What was his name? He played only one. It was Gray, right? Jonas Gray. Your thought process, and I remember it. It was the year before in the postseason. They ran it down the Colts' throat, and that was the way they did it. And that's why you went with Gray, man. And it panned out. I'll never forget that. You and I think you had spoken to us in one of another podcast I did. You came on, and your thought process behind it was pretty cool, man. I thought it was pretty interesting.
And I was like, a power back. Like, there's only one on the roster, so would you be playing both?
Would you be playing both Sony Michel and James White in, like, one lineup? Like, is that something you're gonna do, or are you gonna mix and match?
My buddy Sahil, if he's out there, he knows I like to run the two Patriots running backs. I know it's a negative correlation. That's what I was always hit over the head with from him, but I don't hate it. Like, I don't hate it. I don't love Damian Williams. Like, yeah, I'll play him in cash games, but you got to look for these pivots here. And I don't know. I like Sony Michel. The thing that muddles that up is Mac and Gordon are both going to get, like, some serious looks in this game. Like, I'm a little skeptical on saying Gordon, but definitely Mac is going to see at least 20 touches. Like, we've seen that over, like, the last month and a half. So, like, it makes me kind of skeptical to run two Patriots running backs where it is a negative correlation on a slate where a lot of higher end guys are going to see a multitude of carries. But James White's work in the passing game is definitely gives, like, a little life to that. The only thing that you got to watch Burkhead too. That's the other issue is, like, how much is he going to be utilized in tournaments? Like, one of my buddies wants to go to Burkhead. Like, yeah, I don't hate that either. Like, but for me, I just like it. I'm probably a little too thin, but I don't know. I don't hate it. Like this, like you said, like, you're going to get in the numbers on this, on the side of San Diego. So they struggle versus pass catching backs.
Yeah, and I'll throw those numbers out now since we're on the topic. And, like, so running backs were targeted 133 times against the Chargers, which is the fourth most. They came down with 107 receptions, which is third most here, 973 yards, most in the NFL, and 4 receiving touchdowns, tied for third most here. So the numbers are great. I mean, and look, we talked about it on the podcast. I talked about it on my targets video. This is a running back that has been with the team for years now. They trust him in the postseason. He's played a big role in their postseason And he's just so cheap. Like, I mean, he's so cheap. He doesn't have to do a ton. Like, and with his role in the passing game, he could pay off that salary rather easily. So when you consider his upside,
we have an ownership on him.
Yes, he's not expected to be at all that popular, and that's why I like this whole Damian Williams situation now. Like, if he does end up being, if Spencer Ware does end up sitting out, which is looking like it's going to be the case, like all that ownership is going to Damian Williams, and right now 9 to 12% for James White. Like, I'm going to be massively overweight on him, like massively overweight. I'm talking about like scary overweight on James White. Like, it's just I don't see. Obviously, there's risk because we know Bill Belichick. We know what he's capable of doing. We know he's capable of putting someone on the bench just because or not playing someone. But look, they have to win this game. Brady doesn't have many years left. This is a couple more years of this. We're gonna get there. We're definitely gonna get there right now. I like White so much that I just had to kind of go off a little bit on him, but I like him a ton. The guy Gronk too cheap. It's just I don't know, man. I don't know.
I just feel like everyone's saying he's toast and he's burnt, and I just feel like everyone's like, I think they've just been holding. His body's taking a toll, but I think he'll be. I think when it comes down to it, they're going to unleash him, whether it's this week. This is win or go home. So you can imagine, you might see one seam route. I would like to get a count on how many seam routes we've seen from Gronk this season, because I think they've really kind of pulled him back in that regard. So if that's the case and he starts – I know Derwin James, the matchup is difficult matchup, real young athletic guy. People are comparing him to, the next Sean Taylor. Like Gronk at 4,600, matchups work both ways. You know what I mean? He can beat a good matchup, and the price is just too cheap. He could easily catch 2 touchdowns in this game.
Yeah. Look, the upside there, the price is right. I think the ownership is going to be low enough where you can consider him and have him in your player pool in tournaments. But I probably will be underweight. He's expected to be 9 to 12%. I'll probably be underweight, but I do definitely want to get exposure because, like you mentioned, he hasn't been the same Gronk we're used to seeing, but he still has upside, man. He still has upside. And he comes at a very low price. So
I think in terms of deal with 9 to
12. Huh?
9 to 12 isn't much. If you're you're not.
I might be with the field there if it is at 9-12. I don't expect it to be 9 to 12 though. I expect it to be less owned. I wouldn't be surprised to him at 7, 6. I don't think he's gonna be that popular. I'll probably I'm gonna throw a couple extra bullets into that $20 one. I'll probably have more exposure to him in that tournament than the higher dollar buy-ins. I don't think I'm gonna really be exposed.
My fear with Gronk is that Bozer and Ingram, if they do decide to use him like they have used him all season, which is pretty much like a left tackle, I feel like because of those bookends, that's why, you know what I mean? In the matchup, that's why, we like a guy like James White, right? Those guys coming off the edge, Brady has the quick out, you know what I mean? In that case, and Edelman too, for that same reason.
Yeah, and if you look at how they played last week against Baltimore, I believe they were running kind of like a quarter defense, right? Where they had a bunch of secondaries out there and in their defense, or I don't know if you saw that. It looked weird because it didn't look like they were playing, just for secondary players. I think they were playing a bunch. They had a bunch of secondary defensive players out there. So I think this is why I like Edelman and White so much, because I think what New England's going to do is they're just going to dink and dunk all over this defense, get quick passes out because of the pass rush, because of the vulnerabilities in the defense. So I think that those little quick passes, Edelman and White are just going to hog them all up. So I like them because of that, because I just think that they have this spot is in particular, they have a really high floor and plenty of upside, and both come at fair prices, if you ask me. So I'm with you, man. You mentioned Edelman. Edelman's one of my favorite receiving options on the board. He really is. We know he's Brady's go-to. I think he's going to get peppered with a bunch of targets. I can't go down there and to the Hogans and the Pattersons. And listen, I know one of them can definitely have a big game. And if I'm gonna go with anyone, we talked about this, earlier in the week. It'll probably be Dorsett because of the one-on-one matchup being the best one. But Hogan does have a tough matchup. He's expected to get Casey Hayward, so that's going to be a tough matchup. But all these guys are players that Bill Belichick will definitely go to in the postseason, man. So tough to read, but I feel the best about White and Edelman for sure. On the other side, Bobby, you mentioned Mike Williams. That's probably that's another one of those guys in that price range that I like a ton, and like you mentioned, there's pivot plays from Inman. I wouldn't mind going to someone like Mike Williams if I'm pivoting from Inman. I really think this is a good spot for him. I think the good game environment.
Do we have confirmation on coverage here?
Right now, he gets a tough one, though. It looks like he's going to get Gilmore, man. That's tough.
So, early in the week,
Gilmore is not all that easy. Tyrell is expected to get J.C. Jackson.
Yeah. So earlier in the week, I was listening to the Patriot. Gilmore was on one of the local Boston radio networks, and he was saying J.C. Jackson might be a better matchup for Mike Williams. So if that's the case, I would and Gilmore seen some of Keenan Allen. You have to figure if you think back to the Minnesota game, Keenan Allen's going to be in the slot. What the Pats did at Thielen was they just doubled him and then had Gilmore on Diggs. So maybe that's Belichick's thought process is Gilmore would get Mike Williams, and which I think Mike Williams can still win that matchup. We've seen Robert Foster, he was very close to having 2 50-yard touchdowns with Gilmore in coverage. So I don't think that it's something that can be overlooked on a slate like this, especially where we're looking for guys that are going to be low owned and offer volatility and a high upside. But then again, Tyrell Williams is another guy probably going to go overlooked. I think a lot of people would probably pivot to Benjamin or Mike Williams in this situation and kind of overlook Tyrell. And like you said, J.C. Jackson's a rookie. He's in a good spot. I like Travis too. I love Travis Benjamin in these sneaky spots here, especially small game slate. Guy who kind of can burn a corner. I think one of these receivers is catching a bomb. That's just in my that's what in my core I believe that. So one of them's gonna have a big game. This is where I'm kind of looking for value. And Hunter Henry, if he plays too, Pat Chung, is Chung held? The Patriots have just struggled versus tight ends all season. Him or Gates, if you want to be if you're multi-entering in the 20 or the $9 slant, I think those are all guys that you can consider.
Yeah.
I think I don't like Keenan Allen today, which is great. Unless the Patriots have a big lead and they're going to go in and prevent, then Keenan's going to eat. And a guy like Austin Eckler will probably eat as well. I just think that the way they took away Thielen, they could do the same to Allen. And that's what I'm kind of afraid of, is that they're going to have a similar approach in that regard. And I think that could be pretty dangerous. But I don't think Gilmore's seen the slot. So if he's going to get both McCourty brothers like they did with Thielen, that was what the matchup was. Then a guy like Jason Johnson, Tyrell Williams, or a guy like what?
It looks like Allen's going to get McCourty.
Yeah. So in the Vikings game, the McCourty brothers both shadowed Allen the entire game. They doubled him. They shadowed Thielen the entire game. If you look back and watch the tape, I feel like that's the closest matchup that you can kind of relate this to. So I think Keenan Allen's going to be doubled the entire game.
Yeah. We talked about this.
I don't mean to cut you off. You can go. No, you can go. I didn't mean to. No, so in that instance also, Dalvin Cook ate in that game. And the Patriots just kind of gave Dalvin Cook, you know what I mean? So maybe a guy like Gordon, who's going to be overlooked, he's been injured. He didn't look like he got cut last week, so I don't think it's a great play. But Eckler, guys like that, if you're multi-entering, have exposure to those guys, because one of those running backs is going to have a good week. These are all variables. I'm sorry, I'm just preaching this, but I'm thinking more multi-entry in my head and which ways I'd be going. I haven't given a definitive pick, but there's so much. In terms of these guys are not cash game plays by any means. Maybe Mike Williams, if you think like with Gilmore there, I'd kind of be nervous in terms of cash. But yeah, everyone else there's a lot of value on this Charger side and on the Pats side, respectively. So
yeah, and we talked about this. You and I talked about this on Thursday, Bobby. Like I kind of feel the same about Allen than you do here. You also have other options in that price range in such better spots. We talked already about Hilton. We talked about Edelman. We talked about Cooper. These are all guys in better spots and in that same price range, So Bill Belichick does something, and this is something he's known for and throughout his years of coaching, man. And he usually contains or limits the damage by the best offensive player on the opposing team. And right now, that's Keenan Allen, because Gordon, like you mentioned, man, he's dealing with knee injuries. Both knees are injured. Far less than 100% for sure here. So I don't know how effective he's going to be. We did see some issues with the cutting, like you mentioned last week. He did ding up his other knee last week, so it's a fresh injury. It looks like it's some MCL issues, which, those take times to heal. I agree with you. I think in large field tournaments, going with someone like Austin Eckler at 4,500, I think there's some merit to that. I mean, I'm not endorsing him as a must play. I'm not endorsing him as someone I'm going to be overweight on or super bullish on by any means. But I do think that you can strongly consider him in deep GPPs here because, like you mentioned, they're going to give that to the Chargers. They are at the end of the day. So. I actually have some interest in Austin Eckler, and I probably will have some exposure to him in tournaments like the one we talked about, that $20 tournament. So aside from that, though, man, like no Rivers for me. Obviously, he has upside or whatnot. I'm just not, interested on the road and, and things like that here for the Chargers. So we'll have some pieces of this offense, but not a stack by any means here for me. No Melvin Gordon either because of the knee issues. He obviously has the potential and the upside to have a big game. We've seen it before. I just don't think that's going to be the case this weekend, man. So no Gordon for me. I
would play on the slate. Melvin.
If he wasn't injured, I don't think he'd be that price though. Like if he wasn't injured, I think he'd be like 7,500.
Yeah, because he would have seen more work in the weeks. No, I get you.
So I think if he wasn't injured, that price wouldn't be the same. I think we broke this one down pretty good here. And look, I don't mind, and I said this on Thursday, I don't mind either of these defenses if you want to go there. This game, I believe, does have the lowest over-under on the slate. So there's some merit, I guess, to using some of these defense. Chargers do have a good defense, man. And the Patriots defense, for whatever reason, they just play better in the postseason. They play better towards the end of the year. They're a slow starting defense, but then they get it together, which is why sometimes these numbers can be skewed because they play better defense toward the end of the year. So, yeah, I mean, that's it for this game here, Bobby. Let's move on to this last game on the board, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles going to New Orleans to take on the Saints. This game has a 51 over-under. It's gone down half a point since it opened. Saints have a 29.5 implied team total. Eagles have a 21.5 implied team total here. 8-point favorites are the Saints. Bobby, I mentioned to you, Drew Brees is one of my favorite plays at quarterback this weekend. I know that there are some concerns here about a potential blowout. You and I spoke about that. But look, these two teams face each other in week 11, I believe it was. That game was 48-7. So the Saints ran over this Eagles defense. And Brees only threw the ball 30 times. He still, threw for over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. Look, I'm going back here, man. I'm going back here. I believe that the Eagles have a good run defense. And I know you like Ingram. I'm going to go with the pass catchers here. That's the best way to attack this defense. That's the best way to.
I don't just like Ingram. I like Ingram and Kamara. Both running backs. I don't just like Ingram. I like Ingram and Kamara. I just don't like.
I know you like
Teddy.
I know you like
here. Yeah.
Well, this is what I was going to go to. I'm going with the pass catchers.
Damian Williams value, that's changed since Thursday.
That what?
Ingram's changed since Thursday with this Damian Williams news. Like, Kamara is like the guy.
I can't jump on board with the look. Ingram can certainly have a big game without a doubt. I just can't jump on board here because let me tell you, he had a big game against his defense earlier in the year. I mean, in week 11, he scored 2 touchdowns, scored over 20 DraftKings points, over 100 rushing yards. Big game. But in that game, he had what 60. Well, he didn't have 16 carries. So he was just torched them really.
He was really efficient. He was really efficient. You would say the same thing with Brees being really efficient in that game as well. And now he's like someone like you have so many guys in this situation that are gonna. Drew Brees is the second highest priced quarterback on this slate, right? Mahomes is going to throw the ball at least 14 to 15 more times than him. He might not throw it in the red zone like they Taysom Hill.
How many more times? How many more times?
Like 14.
Do you think he's going to throw
14 more times. 14 to 15 more times.
Wow.
If you're saying that he threw it only 30 times last week, Mahomes has been averaging 45 to 50 throws. Like
not last week. Their last game against the Eagles, but this was a 48-7 game. He only threw the ball 30 times. This is my thing.
There are 4 quarterbacks who are throwing the ball more than him tomorrow. I'm telling you. This weekend.
He's one of the more efficient quarterbacks.
Mahomes, he's 300 less than Patrick Mahomes. Don't make that mistake. Like, do not make that mistake.
No, wait, time out. But the ownership, you have to take the ownership. I'm not talking about cash. I'm talking about tournaments. Like, look at the ownership difference. Like, Mahomes
more. I like Foles more. Mahomes, I like Dak more. I'm not going to Dak, but I think Brees.
Luck, I like on Dak. Look, my 3 quarterbacks are, and this is tournaments, not cash. My 3 quarterbacks are Luck, Prescott, and Brees. That's it. Like, that's my tournament quarterback pool. That's where I'm at.
Yeah,
That's where I'm at.
I know for sure.
Listen,
I don't know
the only reason why I'm playing over Mahomes is because I think he offers a very similar ceiling, right? He has as good as matchup, and he's going to be half of the ownership that Mahomes is. And in tournaments, I'll take that. I mean, right now,
the reason why Mahomes is so highly owned, and Mahomes just lost ownership with Damian Williams becoming chalk. There's going to be guys that move on. What?
I hope not. I hope Mahomes is that popular. I mean, listen,
people are going to move on with Damian Williams.
So then
becoming
keep an eye on the I'm making ownership projections. If I see it starts changing, then I'm going to have some more exposure. I'm going to get exposure to Mahomes. Only reason why I was fading him in tournaments is because he was going to be the highest owned quarterback, and there are other quarterbacks.
Let's talk about one thing. Do you think Brees is going to throw the ball more than Andrew Luck?
No. I think Andrew Luck is going to throw the ball the most.
So Luck checks off the throws, and he's going to check off the game script, right? Vegas, if you go by Vegas, Luck is the dog. He's going to be playing from behind. Is he going to throw it more than Mahomes?
No. But I don't think it's going to be by 15.
That's true. Is he going to throw it more than Foles?
I don't like Foles, though. I'd rather play Dak.
How many times did Foles throw the ball last week?
Foles and now he's in the 50 times. Wait, time out. I get your argument there.
The NFL this week.
Okay.
Let me tell you, a lot of people are going to play Foles in cash this week. It might be a mistake, but a lot of people are going to do it. I might be one of those people.
Well, I'd rather 30 pass attempts from Drew Brees than 60 from Foles. I will take that. Like, I prefer that. Like, I really prefer that.
That math doesn't add up. Like, it's just simple math. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't add up.
More efficient quarterback, and it's not even close. I mean, listen, Foles is not like terrible, but you're comparing apples to oranges. I mean, volume is volume. I get that, but it can be said the same thing about a running back. If you give a running back 20 carries and you give Gurley something like 20 carries, and you give one of the worst running backs in the NFL 20 carries, I mean, one's going to be more efficient than the other, you know? Yeah, I mean, the what?
Can you say that Taysom Hill isn't going to be in there in the red zone?
I mean, yeah, you could, of course, you say that.
You want to pay for a guy whose touches are going to be muddled up in the scoring area.
I won't pay for a guy.
You're in for Patrick Mahomes on the 5-yard line. I can tell you that much. I know that. Like I can guarantee that.
But you're coming to a conclusion, like based on obviously fair points.
Well,
but problem is,
obviously, who's Patrick Mahomes' backup? I've never seen him. I've never seen someone. How many times has someone subbed out for How many times has Patrick Mahomes subbed out in the red zone this season? How many times has Drew Brees? That's
a valid point. But my question is, okay, so you're viewing it from that point. Let me show you where I'm viewing it from. Low ownership, right? Number one. Number two, would you be surprised to see Drew Brees throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns today? Or tomorrow, I'm sorry, tomorrow. Would that surprise you?
Yeah, I would actually. I would.
You would be all right. How about this? Would you be surprised to see him throw for over 300 yards?
I think they're going to take care of the ball. It makes them. They're going to run the ball. I think it's going to be. And once they get a lead, like the only way Michael Thomas gets touches, and my buddy Mangone was said it to me, and basically got me off Michael Thomas. He has to catch that first TD, and then it's it. Like if he doesn't catch that first touchdown, you're chasing that 8K. You know what I mean? And then like the same thing. Like one of these running backs scores and they get a lead, they're going to pound the ball. Even if they throw one touchdown, I don't see him like. What's his player prop for throwing 2 TDs?
Who? Drew Brees?
Drew Brees. Yeah.
I'll tell you right now. Look at that right now. All right, so if you want, while I'm looking for that, why don't you break down, since you like Nick Foles and stuff, break down the Eagle side of things while I look for that. I
like the Eagles. I like Aguilar. I think he's going to be pretty chalky in the slot there. I know Tate had the TD, is more expensive. I'd rather play Aguilar. I can consider Aguilar for chalk in the dome, for cash games in the dome. Foles to Aguilar, I don't hate it. I don't hate Ertz. I think he's one of the better point per dollar tight ends on the slate, if not the best point per dollar, even though the Saints have been very good versus tight ends all season. Alshon would be the guy I don't like. He's going to get Marcus Lattimore, whatever. I want to, like, he's fine. Like, he's fine. Like, I don't hate him, but I just don't think I'm going to go there with, like, the value that I think there is on the slate. People are going to play Tate in the dome, too. Yeah, that's cool. Like, great. Darren Sproles at his price tag, like, I think he's fine. Little revenge narrative there. It's not the NBA. Like, this isn't like the same situation. They probably don't put too much into that, but like, yeah, maybe this is a playoff game. He wants to play well. So I like Darren Sproles a little.
So his implied touchdown,
guys.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off there. I found the implied. No, the implied 2.3 touchdowns. So right there, and Labs has a projected at 2 touchdowns. Right, and then the yardage is 293.
So they have him below the bonus.
That's the implied. Yeah, they have him below.
Like, they have him 7 yards below the bonus. Like, I know it's 7 yards. This is right on, dude.
And that's, listen. You're right. I mean, but look, he has 2.3. Mahomes has 2.6. You know, I mean,
yeah, they think Mahomes is going to throw 3.
2.3, 2.6. You're right. I mean, it's right there. It's not.
It's a huge difference. Like, it doesn't seem like it's a big difference, but that's a huge difference.
I guess. I listen.
They see Mahomes throwing 3.
Yeah.
What do they have?
Huh?
What do they have luck at?
I have it here. 2.5. But you see, like, okay, so Labs has like betting, and he's
less than in Mahomes.
No, I like Luck. I mean, Luck. Your boy Foles. Let me give you your boy Foles right here. Hold up.
1.5.
1.6, my man.
Oh, so we're getting 2 from Foles at 5,400. I like it. At least opportunity for 2. Let's think about Tom Brady. What's Tom Brady at right now?
Brady at 2.2.
Trigger Tom. That's pretty good number. Trigger Tom might be like Trigger. What's you said? Brees at 2.3 and Tom was at 2.2.
Yeah.
Bad weather quarterback, Tom Brady. He can do it in the cold.
He's something I think is going to go overlooked as upside. Look, I get what you make a ton. Like you make a ton of valid points, 100% valid points. But
yeah, I know you. I think going with your heart. I'm going by the numbers. We'll see who's going to win in the end.
No, I'm not only going by. I'm going by some numbers too. I mean, you're going by different numbers than I am. I just think this is a good matchup, and I don't think. So the way,
pretty much in any situation, but
so. Look, but this is the thing. If you like Foles and you like, the Eagles side of things, you're basically thinking that this game is not going to be a massive blowout, right? You think it's going to stay rather close.
If it gets blown up, they're going to be in prevent, and he's going to be like throwing it in prevent, and more yardage there. So more dump offs to Aguilar in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you brought up a bunch of valid points. I still am going to keep Brees in my player pool. There's obviously some concerns, but I think he's fine. I think he can easily throw over 300 yards in this contest. And I like him. I like Michael Thomas. I like Kamara. I like Ginn. I think these are all fine plays. I'll prioritize.
Not the play. Don't do it. Don't do it. And I might burn myself.
Look, I made a big decision. That week that I won the 10K, I made a big decision. That week, Michael Thomas was chalk. You and I talked about this. Michael Thomas was chalk. It was between him and Zeke. I believe it was Zeke. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I either had to pay for him or no, I'm sorry. It was either him or McCaffrey. I think it was. I'm not 100% sure. But the point is, I had to make a decision. But I still wanted exposure to this offense. And what I did was I came off of Thomas. I plugged in Traquan Smith, and Smith torched this defense, right? Thomas didn't have a bad game, but he didn't have he didn't pay off that salary that he was. I think it was about 8K during that time. And he caught 4 passes, all 4 of his targets for 92 yards and a touchdown. A decent game for him, but definitely not, $7,900 worth of Michael Thomas. So the full disclosure, there is some that I have that in the back of my head. And that's what I was going to say. He's going to play that role that Traquan Smith played. Ginn to me is one of the best value players. He's one of the best value players at receiver.
He is. No, you're right. He is.
Far. So, and listen, I'm not saying force Thomas into your lineups.
Teddy Ginn does really well. Teddy Ginn catches intermediate routes. He catches short routes, and he can catch a bomb. So, like in that situation, like in tournaments, it's never a bad thing to roster Teddy Ginn. Like never a bad thing. He's not like Brandon Cooks where he just runs 50 yards down the field and like they throw it up, it's a pass interference, or he like comes down that if he burns the guy completely. Like Teddy Ginn will catch the ball in traffic. Earlier in his career, he had terrible hands. His hands are much better since his stint with Carolina. Now he's been to New Orleans. Like he's been a much better receiver. Brees really trusts Teddy Ginn. I like Teddy Ginn a ton at 4,400.
Yeah, me too. I like him a ton. And full disclosure, I was far more bullish on Michael Thomas earlier in the week than I am now. In fact, my favorite play on this offense is Kamara. Like, I think Kamara is the guy you want on this offense this week. I really do think Kamara is the top play for the Saints. And I'm going to pair him up with Drew Brees, man. I'm going to
if they get rid of Ingram, which they should have already done, like Ingram shouldn't see the field. Kamara should see the field. Like Ingram got him through the season and he get hurt. Like get Ingram off the field. Like they had Ingram on the field and not Kamara on like critical downs, like versus Pittsburgh. And I was like, where's the best player and where's the best running back in football? Like, why isn't he on the field? They had Ingram in. It made no sense. And then like they hit Ginn over the middle for like a 20-yard catch on like 4th down. Or like Kirkwood or like someone, or Kirkwood like dropped a – I don't know. Kirkwood's prop looks pretty good, but I wouldn't really go there. I think they're kind of like – I don't know. I was looking at their prop on Labs. I think he was like, I don't think that's accurate though.
Yeah. We covered this game pretty good. Look, guys, Bobby and I are not going to agree on everything. We're indifferent about the Brees situation. Take it for what it's worth. Obviously, he brought up some valid points. So if you're listening and you're debating on what to do there, just wanted to throw that out there. I think pretty much I don't think you could go wrong with any quarterback this weekend. Really, I'm probably going to be like the least interest I have is in that New England and Chargers game for the quarterback position. I think everything else I think is fine.
2.2, man. 5.6
props now. Yeah.
What's his yardage total?
For who?
Brady.
For Brady? 270.6.
Yeah, I think Luck's going to throw for 300, and I think the other one's going to throw for 3.
I like Matt. I like more than Matt.
Is very helpful. What's Mahomes' yardage total?
3 over 300. I don't have it right. 322.6.
320?
It looks like. Oh, look. So that's the implied total. So odds are 317.5, and it's at minus 103. That's pretty strong.
Yeah, you got to have some Mahomes.
That's pretty strong.
Yeah, like I honestly like Damian Williams now because I could probably have more Mahomes, and like Mahomes is definitely going to be pretty chalky, but like he's a good play regardless. Like he's good chalk, I would imagine. And then like I was planning on not playing Damian Williams in tournaments, so
I do want to mention this one, man, because I like this player a lot. Hilton has this is really healthy right here. All right, check this out. Hilton has a 90.5 over under in yards plus 100, man. Like that indicates that they think that it's right there, but I don't know, man. That's a strong line in my opinion.
I don't think that's what I think his home roads was. I don't like Hilton today.
Let me see your boy Hilton. We'll get a couple of these guys. You know what? We don't do this much. We'll get a couple of these. So you got Hill.
I want to go get the bonuses.
Excuse me. Hill's 81.5 here. And let's look at White. Really. All right, guys. This is what it is. White at 4.5 reception.
Oh, you get for that. You get for that.
Plus 130. Plus 130.
Oh, it's not great. But
this indicates that they feel that that's an easy over.
Yeah.
No? Am I reading that wrong?
No, you're reading it correctly.
All right, guys. Well, we covered the 4 game states. We added some fun props here at the end. Anyone else you want to prop on before we get off? Any other props you want to hear or provide to the listeners before we get off?
What do we have for Zeke and Gurley yardage totals?
All right. Gurley 87.5 minus 130. Elliott.
And what about Zeke?
Elliott 99.5 plus.
So there you go. Zeke's your running back.
We've been talking about Zeke all week, man. Yeah, I mean, just plug him in. Plug him in. Full disclosure, right now, my main lineup, for any of those wondering, my main lineup does not have Michael Thomas in it, guys. I will have exposure to him, but my main lineup, my high dollar, I'm just full disclosure. I like to be transparent. Yeah, I've been pumping Thomas, but my main lineup, he's not on there. Kamara is, Zeke is, that's for sure.
What's Kamara's prop? What's Kamara's prop? Can we get that?
All right, so rushing yards 59.5 minus 115. Receiving yards 44.5 minus 115. Receptions 5 minus 105. So like pretty close to You want to look at Ingram? I know you had interest in Ingram, so I think that's important.
I'm bringing up. I don't have any more interest in Ingram. Ingram's no.
Okay. I'm sorry. Who?
What's Michelle? Sony Michelle.
65.5 rushing yards, minus 115. Mac is 78.5. 78.5 rushing yards plus 130. I like that, man.
Who's this?
Mac.
Yeah, I like Mac too.
Let's see Gordon, because that's you see it's Gordon's 23.5 receiving yards, minus 115, 66.5 rushing yards, minus 115, 3.5 receptions, plus 130. Let me see Eckler because I want to kind of see what his receptions are. So it looks like 2.5 receptions for Eckler, plus 110. And then Tyreek Hill, I know you're pretty bullish on him. 81.5 receiving yards, minus 100, and then 5 receptions, minus 114 here.
What do we have Thomas at?
Thomas, 87.5 yards, minus 115,
Receiving?
7 receptions, minus 115.
Oh.
That's a high reception total, man.
No, yeah, it is.
Yeah,
you fade Gurley.
Cooper has 71.5 receiving yards, minus 114, and then 5.5 receptions, minus 114. Let's look at Edelman. Ooh, I like Edelman here a lot. 6.5 receptions plus 110, man. That's good. I mean, it's close. I mean, it's close to like what?
Yeah, I like Edelman a ton. I like Edelman a ton.
All right. Well, I think we gave a couple, interesting props and maybe enlightened some people as far as what to maybe expect here. It does
hopefully
like
we helped
it
you
does
guys.
like, huh?
No, I said hopefully we helped everyone out.
Yep. Any final thoughts on the slate, Bobby, or anything before we get going?
Nah, good luck, guys. Thanks for having me on, Armando.
Yep. Good luck to everyone. It's a pleasure as always, Bobby. We always have fun. Make sure you catch Bobby on Twitter at Bobby Gomes DFS. I am at Armando_Marsal. Good luck to everyone. We'll be back next week. Make sure you check out our podcast, the Chalk Talk podcast on iTunes. We broke down the slate as well there. We'll be doing that next week in addition to the show. So make sure you check us out, guys. Good luck to everyone. We'll see you next week.